what we're going to talk about here is we at Aldridge have kind of divided things up into various different levels that a prospective client or a client can adopt, as this is where I want to be on my security journey. Here's what's appropriate to me after I've assessed my risk, right? So here in the center, imagine it's you. Imagine you are the person at the center, and you're going to be adding defenses in layers around yourself, right? So here we're going to jump up to level number 1. And I'm going to point out right away that level number 1 is perhaps is misnamed. It's called minimum. We at Aldridge would never even consider this an acceptable minimum level, but prospective clients come to us at this level, right? They've done some things that they believe are the minimum that they had to do to protect themselves. So we would kind of call this lagging maybe, or behind, but nonetheless, what does that include, right? Well, it includes perhaps some antivirus software, some consumer grade antivirus software that you purchased off the shelf and you installed on the various computers at your office, and you turned on the update yourself automatically feature, and you think you're kind of done, right? And you went to the store and you bought a firewall, and you followed the instructions, a little quick start guide, and you plugged everything in and it worked. And there's like, okay, I got me a firewall in place. And then finally you subscribe to an email service, maybe not one of those free email services. And the vendor, we'll call them out, you know, Microsoft or Google, right? They include, it's built in at no extra charge. They're going to give you some email filtering. And how do you know you're getting that email filtering? Because they build in spam protection, right? And they throw things into quarantine for you automatically. You don't have to do anything. So you know that they're doing some email filtering for you, right? And so this is level 1, right? Where you've got some antivirus software installed, you've got an unmanaged firewall, and you've got some really basic email filtering. Again, we don't think anyone should stop there. But what does it take to get up to level 2? Well, here you go. Here's what we believe needs anyone who's on the security journey and they've assessed their risk, is that level 2 might be a stopping place, right? And what would you have in level 2? You'd have some basic multi-factor authentication, which you heard Chad say you really should have that already, right? So that no one can log in as you, particularly to your email, without you getting some kind of a prompt on your phone and you approving it saying, yep, that's really me, right? You need to have some kind of backup and recovery mechanism in place so that you are ready to recover when that day arrives and something bad happens, right? You should have in place not an unmanaged firewall, you should have a managed firewall, right? How many times have you heard on the news, you know, big security incident, you know, certain brand A, B, or C has been discovered to have a flaw, and millions of people worldwide have that firewall in place. Well, if it's an unmanaged firewall, that flaw is never fixed. So you have to have a managed firewall to make sure that it's fixed, and also to properly control what's allowed in and what's allowed out. The next thing you need on level 2, we believe, is you really should have a managed detection and response product. It's great if you have a next generation antivirus, and it's great if you have an endpoint detection piece of software that does all the automated stuff. But as Chad describes to you, there are certain things that are not clearly malicious, and that your protection software isn't just going to automatically stop. It's just going to flag it as suspicious. It really takes someone looking at it and deciding, was that a false positive? It's a non-harmful thing that we can allow, or is it something that really should be stopped? And then the final piece is templated policies and procedures. You probably, you know, if you're at level 2, you're not going to spend a lot of money developing customized, detailed policies and procedures for your firm and all of your employees. But you know, you really should be able to take some templated policies and procedures and say, that looks good, and we're going to do that. Those are the things that we think will help protect us, and we're going to put those policies and procedures in place. So beyond level 2, the next step up includes some of those technologies Chad just talked about. We call that level 3, the infrastructure security layer, when you go beyond just being managed. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all of these. I'm just going to briefly touch on them. That includes doing some dark web monitoring, right? You know, did some of your credentials get out there through a breach at some other organization? Maybe we need to do some advanced email filtering, more than this little free stuff that your vendor gives you, right? Some email filtering that applies artificial intelligence and does a better job of examining stuff that's coming in by email and not letting your employees be fooled. You know, block the stuff that might fool your employees. You need some advanced multi-factor authentication. It needs some additional intelligence, right, to maybe make your life more convenient. You want that MFA in place, but is it really necessary for you to have MFA every single day on your desktop computer when you're inside the company office? Probably not. An advanced MFA is going to be a little smarter about that and only prompt you when it sees something suspicious or unusual. You're going to want to start doing some vulnerability management. You put these walls out in place. Periodically, some inspectors need to come by. Periodically, some inspectors need to come by and look and see, how good is this wall? Is this wall still holding up, right? And then Chad spent a lot of time talking to you about what a security incident and event management system is and about what a security operations center is. Those two things together, you can get them separately, but they really go better together, like, you know, chocolate milk and cookies. Those two things comprise the last bit of level 3. And then going on to level 4, right? You're one of those people who have compliance and regulatory requirements, right? Or you have a big footprint, or you have a lot of valuable data. You're going to start looking at level 4, information security, not just infrastructure security, right? You're not going to just be looking for weaknesses in the wall. You're going to be trying to break through the wall, right? You're going to do penetration testing and see how easy is it to break through our wall. You're going to start doing that vulnerability management on the things inside your network, not just on the surface that's facing the internet, right? You're going to start putting protections in place for those mobile devices that your employees have, that they're carrying around, that have company data on them, right? And you're going to start worrying about data loss prevention, right? You're going to start worrying about not just how can bad guys break in to get our stuff, but how can we not allow our important data to get out, even if it's our own staff that is sending it out, either for believed legitimate purposes or for not legitimate purposes, right? And then you're going to up your game in terms of frameworks, right? You're going to start looking at the guidelines that are already out there for security technical implementation guide, right? Start following the good rules, the good best practices that are already published. And then finally, when you go to level 5, right, at level 5, you're circling everything with customized policies and procedures, right? You have IT professionals who are customizing all of these things inside the constellation, right, to make sure that you are at the right level. So as I said, it's a really eye-filled chart. Again, now is the time. Actually, I'll hit the button a few more times. There we go. Now's the time if you want to take a screenshot, right? You need to, step number 2 is, figure out where you think you need to be. I think I need to be somewhere between level 2 and level 3, or I think I need to be at level 4, right? And then have an honest appreciation of where are you today? I'm currently only at level 1.5, right? Be honest with yourself where you are, and then figure out where you want to go. And then here's a range of technologies that will help get you there.